Peace and love, everyone, and welcome to another session of the Unity of Livonia, A Course in Miracles Study Group. It is Tuesday, August 6th, and I'm happy to be here, and we've got a good group of folks that so far look like they're happy to be here too. So, quick question. Did you all get the agendas tonight?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. No problem with that. I think we had an issue with that last time. And so Gina's back. Go ahead, dear.
I always have a problem. The email comes up and the curtains part, but I don't get anywhere after that to get the actual agenda. And I don't know what I'm not doing or
I'm
doing wrong.
When you say the curtains part.
Yeah, on your...
Who's the email from?
You.
All right. So that's not what we want to talk about, because Tuesday night is Gina's email. It won't be from me.
Right.
With me?
Yeah.
When you see an email from me, it'll be for Mondays.
Yes.
So we can talk about that. And I think we've already taken care of you getting in on Mondays, right?
Oh, yeah, that's not a problem.
But
tonight isn't
I noticed tonight when from Gina's, you were able to click and come in.
Yeah.
So no worries. I'll keep coaxing you about Mondays. Okay. At least you're here on Tuesday easily, right?
Right.
Excellent. Any other concerns before we continue about getting into the meeting or the agendas?
Page number for tonight that you gave is what? I forgot.
Well, we're going to start out tonight in the workbook for students.
Yes.
And let me get it up so I can tell you the page. We are on page 393 in the workbook for students. And it is lesson 211. And we are in maybe day 11 of our 20-day final review of workbook part 1. And we're taking a lot of times just going back over all the themes from part 1, not all of them, but this last set from about 180 to 200. That's about 20 lessons. And so the lessons here are review lessons, are short and sweet, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Why don't we get our readers together and we'll have reader number 1 to do the reading, and then we'll do a meditation period to get the evening started tonight. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sherilyn, you're number 1. Again. Gina, number 2. Joanne, number 3. Judy, number 4. Frank is 5. Nancy is 6. Joan is 7. And Hilda's not reading. Did I leave anybody off?
Jim, I won't be reading tonight either. I need to pass.
All right, not a problemo. So that means Frank is reader 5, and then Joan is 6. Sound good? Everybody happy so far?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, we're ready for you, Sherilyn. Lesson 211.
Okay.
Just read all of it, please.
I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. Number 1, I am the Holy Son of God Himself. In silence and in true humility, I seek God's glory, to behold it in the Son whom He created as myself. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me.
So I think that's enough since we're getting so good at this. Just those few lines should be enough to take us into a meditation period. Just reflect on as much of this as we can remember when we close our eyes, and that gets us out of the gate in the right direction. So I'll put some background music on as usual, okay? And do a meditation period. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I am the Holy Son of God Himself. This is a sandwich lesson, isn't it? I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. I am the Holy Son of God Himself. I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. I hope you enjoyed that. To me, it's a nice getting in the mood type of thing, I think, for our studies tonight. What are your thoughts on what the bread on the sandwich is talking about? Do you see what I call it? The different teaching techniques that Jesus uses. Remember, he had us some lessons where we didn't just do it morning and evening, but we did it every half hour, one lesson on the hour, one on the half hour. And then there are a variety, but this is what I call sandwich lessons. Do you see why I'm saying that? Because for everything new, he's reinforcing something else twice. It's a psychological masterpiece. Frank, aren't you a psychologist, psychiatrist, one? Can you unmute yourself and here, or let me do it?
I got it.
Wasn't that part of your background or profession in psychology?
I did a lot of evaluating of mentally ill people and did group therapy and individuals. So.
Yeah. So this is a course in mind training. But a lot of folks, you don't really see that there are a lot of different techniques going on to teach these principles to people with egos who don't want to listen. So he's infiltrating us in a number of different ways. Have you noticed that before?
Yes.
What about the rest of you? Have you noticed that before? Hello?
Yes, I hadn't really thought about it, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and the reason I'm saying it is because most students don't know that. It takes a long time with this material until you appreciate what is being done. And when you appreciate it, at least for me, I kind of marvel at it.
A lot of repetition.
Pardon me? Go ahead, Frank.
A lot of repetition.
Yes.
Over and
These
over.
are all techniques that good teachers use or should be using, you see? So to me, I appreciate those things in terms of how stuff is presented. Anyhow, that's what I mean by a sandwich lesson. But let's just cover I am not a body, I am free. What's he mean by that part?
Think of the body as my ego, my outer world personality.
And so if I'm not a body, I'm free. Free from what?
Free from the ego.
Why? I mean, so what's different about the ego that so you don't feel free?
I guess because we get caught up in the ego without even realizing it, and we lose the sense of freedom.
And so I get put in this wondrous, although ultimately flawed machine. It's an ego substitution for who I really am.
Yes.
It's one that's confined and limited, and it can't help but to be that way because that's how you make separation, through limitations, right?
Mhm. Right.
So the Course says, what is the body? The body is a fence that the Son of God imagines he has placed around himself to separate himself from other parts, or something like that. So I'm saying being the body is not a good thing. We think that's what we are, and therefore all we have, and disaster would take place, as it inevitably does, because the body is not built for eternity. You can't ask the body to never die, can you?
Try.
So if you're putting your money on the body, you're doomed. I'm done. Maybe this was supposed to be a little quieter after that quiet meditation.
Yeah.
I'm fired up already. But the idea of what's being presented here, just in the first line, is, would you like to be free? Well, I got some good news. You're always free because you're not a body. And so you thought the body was a good thing.
Mm.
Compared to what? Glory?
Compared to my spiritual nature.
In silence and true humility, I seek God's glory. To behold in God's glory, right? Isn't that what it? To behold God's glory in the Son whom he created as my capital S self. I mean, we thought we were so cool making the body as a separator. But he said, that's stupid. I got something cooler you were always intended to be. Shall we move on?
Mhm.
You know, I think I saw Ron come in. Hey, Ron, how are you?
Great. Good to see everybody.
Good,
Hi,
good.
Ron.
Do you
True.
want to read, Ron?
Yes.
You'll be reader 7. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Excellent. Now, we just finished our workbook lesson. So we're going to move to our text, and we've got 2 sections to read, but this week will be our final week in the text. So it has 31 chapters. You see, we're starting chapter 31, the final vision. And once we're done with that, we'll go into phase 2 of what's on our study schedule, where we study 1 lesson a day, and we move into studying the manual for teachers, the smallest book of the 3 books in A Course in Miracles. So I hope you've had some fun. Let's see, we started early January, so we're right on schedule, right? And I should let you know, this second part, where we do the manual for teachers along with a workbook lesson a day, will take us to December, or the end of December. And then after that, we'll be spending, last time we spent 6 months on the 2 supplements to A Course in Miracles. So I know it may seem like a long time, but in 18 months, hopefully we've covered the entire course from the preface all the way to the last page as promised. Did you know you were such commitment? That's remarkable, right? And it just gets deeper in you. Having said that, let's go to Gina. We're on page 645 in the text.
Okay.
And section 1 and 2, if we get there.
So the final vision, the simplicity of salvation. Number 1, how simple is salvation? All it says is what was never true is not true now and never will be. The impossible has not occurred and can have no effects. And that is all. Can this be hard to learn by anyone who wants it to be true? Only unwillingness to learn it could make such an easy lesson difficult. How hard is it to see that what is false cannot be true and what is true cannot be false? You can no longer say that you perceive no differences in false and true. You have been told exactly how to tell one from the other and just what to do if you become confused. Why then do you persist in learning not such simple things?
And let's do one more, Joanne. You there, Joe? Oh, she's on mute. Let me get her on.
Saying I'm muted.
There you go.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I didn't know how to get back with you. I thought I might be unmuted. Okay, okay, number 2.
Yes.
Okay, there is a reason.
Wait, a reason for what? Just so we're all together.
Let's see.
Last sentence from the previous paragraph, right? Wasn't that the question?
Yeah. Yes.
What was it? Start there, dear. Sentence
Why-
10 in the previous.
Do I persist in learning not such simple things?
Yes, and then go on.
Well, why? Because, well, for one reason, the ego is kind of.
No, I'm
Oh.
not asking. I'm just saying connect it with paragraph 2. It says, why then do you persist in learning not such simple things? There is a reason. Y'all following me?
No, I'm not. I don't know where you're at.
Okay. Start at paragraph 1, sentence 10, and read that.
Oh, okay. I get it. I got it. Why then do you persist in learning not such simple things? Well, that's
And then and then go to the next paragraph.
number 2.
And he's going to tell you why not. That's the point I'm
okay.
making.
Why not? Okay, well, okay, there's a reason. But confuse it not with difficulty in the simple things salvation asks you to learn. It teaches but the very obvious. It merely goes from one apparent lesson to the next in easy steps that lead you gently from one to another with no strain at all. This cannot be confusing, yet you are confused, for somehow you believe that what is totally confused is easier to learn and understand. What you have taught yourself is such a giant learning feat, it is indeed incredible. But you accomplished it because you wanted to, and did not pause in diligence to judge it hard to learn or too complex to grasp.
Okay, so we'll stop there. Okay, are we following them so far?
Oh,
What's she saying in paragraph 1? Just don't read it, just what's your gist of it?
He's talking about salvation and how simple it is. Why don't we figure that out?
Because we think it's too hard, right?
Yes, yes.
well, not
And
only
yet,
that.
you want to talk about hard, he says in paragraph 2, there is a reason. You wanted to learn that hard, confusing lesson more than you want to let the other one go and just listen to the truth. Insane, right?
Mm-hmm.
Insanity. So the
We don't think about it. And now we're thinking about it. And it'll change our lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going from wrong-mindedness unconsciously to making a conscious choice, which is merely right-mindedness,
okay.
reasonableness. Why would you take on such hard lessons and strive to master them when the lessons of truth are so much easier to accept and understand? The impossible did not happen. Why? Kind of a trick question.
Impossible did not happen.
Why? You already said it, because it's impossible.
Oh,
Why would you entertain it if it's impossible? Because you want it to be something else. Is that you that wants that, or is that the ego in action?
Ego.
Remember, the
There you go.
ego is crazy. Is that helping? 1 and 2?
yeah. But I didn't realize all that.
Well, that's the point. If most people don't realize it, if they would at least learn about it, it becomes an easy choice to make, easier than the other one.
But that took some time
What took some time?
to realize that it's easy. It was, of course, it was hard.
It wasn't the how that it was hard, it's that you didn't want to do it. You wanted to think about it.
Didn't want to do it. Well, I didn't want
Yeah,
to.
yeah, we cover it up in a lot of ways to where we don't realize it ourselves. That's how self-deceived we are.
Hmm.
We tend to be
I
more,
wanted to- Go ahead.
we tend to be more comfortable with what we're used to.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah. And
It's just
So it's
everybody around
difficult
us.
to
Everybody around
change
us.
sometimes,
yes,
even though somewhere inside of us, we know that it's for our best to do that. It's a simple change if once we decide to do it.
right. It only seems hard until you get into it. But I have to make a serious, conscious enough commitment to really say, I'm getting into it. I can't play with it sometimes on some, it's not a lark. It's as serious as an endeavor as all the other stuff you thought was important.
Mhm.
I'd say more so because my salvation is at stake according to this, right? So there's good reason to change our lives so that we make a new commitment and at least give this a serious try, because lip service, I wish I could do this. All right, what did Yoda say? Do.
And you either do or do not.
Okay, all due respect that you think about it and you want to do it and you'd like to try to do it, but I have to do it. What is it they say in 12 steps? And I'm going to stop. It'll work if you
work it.
Works if you work it.
So what happens if you don't work it?
It doesn't work.
How simple is salvation? That's not hard, right?
Mhm.
You don't have to go to church for this, right?
Right. The
So
church doesn't teach this anyway, really.
beautiful.
What is that?
Yeah, and again, I'm working on our new ministry called Common Sense Spirituality, where, with all due respect, I'm trying to teach and talk to people about how spiritual principles, the principles of good, the power of love, you can see it just appeals to your common sense. It makes sense. But unfortunately, a lot of folks go to church and they, as Joanne said, jazz it up to the extent it loses its simplicity, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
So thank you, Joanne. Thanks to all of you. Any other comments? We're just
I have a comment. I don't know if I mentioned this last week or not. Did I mention that my 7-year-old grandson asked me who's the mother and father of God? Did I mention that last week? Maybe I did.
No. He was. I thought that was the one telling you who his best friend was, and I think it was his dog or cat.
Oh yeah, well that's the same. That's the same.
Yeah.
So he comes to me and he says, "Hey," he said, "Grandma, he's a thinker. He's a thinker. So I got to be careful on what I say to him because Grandma, who's the mother and father of God?"
Yes.
And I'm like, "Oh dear, I usually have an answer, but so I had to, I just winged it as best I could. I said, well, I don't think that God needs a mother and father." Okay, now here's the end of the story. So during the week, I'm thinking, oh, maybe I didn't say that good enough. Maybe I didn't say that right. Blah, blah, blah. What am I gonna? Well, then I thought, well, I have another better answer. So when I see him again, okay, so he comes a few days later, comes to my room, and I said, oh, I said, Grayson, that question you asked me about a mother and father of God, I wanted to talk to you about that. And before I could answer, he said, oh, I already know. He said, it's spirits. He just throws me because now I forgot the question.
That's
So
profound.
Yeah, it's spirits.
It's spirits.
Where did he get the word spirits from?
How old is he?
7.
Wow.
Yeah. So, he might be one of those not indigo children.
Yeah, I have a feeling because he saw a spirit on his that was touching him a couple of years ago.
Let me ask you this. How many people have had the experience of someone touching them, but they're scared to talk about it in our society?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Okay, because it's a taboo, right?
Mhm.
I mean, how many people are uncomfortable talking about sex because we've been taught it's not good or something like that?
Yeah. Taboo.
The one damn thing we all have in common is bad. Who thought that up? I mean,
But the truth Churches told us that.
And that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying, with all due respect, we need another way of reaching people that takes all the googly good stuff, no disrespect, and lays it out in a different English without recrimination. So it was a mistake. And salvation is so simple if you're willing to give it a try. But we can't even talk about spirituality in mixed company without getting into a fight.
Yes.
So I'm going to stop there. I think that's why we come here, all right? I get a chance to spout off. Let me hear from you. We doing all right?
Far so good.
So far, so good. Then we're up to
Great.
Judy, right? Judy, you there?
Yes, we're on paragraph 3.
Yes.
No one who understands what you have learned, how carefully you learned it, and the pains to which you went to practice and repeat the lessons endlessly in every form you could conceive of them, could ever doubt the power of your learning skill. There is no greater power in the world. The world was made by it, and even now depends on nothing else. The lessons you have taught yourself have been so overlearned and fixed, they rise like heavy curtains to obscure the simple and the obvious. Say not you cannot learn them, for your power to learn is strong enough to teach you that your will is not your own, your thoughts do not belong to you, and even you are someone else.
Frank, let's do 4.
Who could maintain that lessons such as these are easy? Yet you have learned more than this. You have continued taking every step, however difficult, without complaint, until a world was built that suited you. And every lesson that makes up the world arises from the first accomplishment of learning. Learning in numbers is so great, the Holy Spirit's voice seems small and still before the magnitude. The world began with one strange lesson, powerful enough to render God forgotten and his son an alien into himself. In exile from the home where God himself established him, you who have taught yourself the Son of God is guilty. And say not that you cannot learn the simple things salvation teaches you.
Because that must have been really hard, right? To teach yourself the Son of God is guilty. That's stupid, right? I'm sorry. Okay, all due respect to me and everybody, right? But I hadn't seen it that way before. That it doesn't even make common sense, does it? Like, if God is the creator and God is love, why would God, how could there be an opposite? Comment, please?
How could he be guilty?
Yeah. It's just that that's what everybody told us, and we never really questioned it.
Right.
Comments on paragraph, what was it? Is it 3 and 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, any comments on 3? How about sentence 2? There is no greater power in the world. Did you know that? what is that power?
Your learning
The
skill.
power to learn.
And what are the perimeters of that power? In the what?
The mind?
No, just read it. There is no greater power where?
In the world.
So I
In the
want
world.
to see that we are fully capable, but there's nothing to learn.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So I'm going to use your learning skills, which are non-existent if it's all omniscient, all knowing, but you came up with something like you could learn something new. So instead of destroying your stuff, I'm going to use that ability to learn to get you out of this mess, to get me out of this mess, to get us out of this mess. There's nothing to learn. You've heard this, right? Somewhere inside you, you already know everything, right? You've heard this.
Yeah.
But do
Yeah.
you see how accommodating this course says God is, that the Holy Spirit is that the Holy Spirit never trashes what you made. You think you're going to have to give up something, but that's not true. It just changes its purpose. Purpose is what gives meaning. Example, is money good or bad?
The love of money. Money's good. But
Depends on what you use it for.
It depends on what you use it for. It depends on its purpose. That's why I can take what you made and turn your lemons into lemonade, because the very illusion you made called learning, I'll use it to teach you. You ultimately have nothing to learn. And remember what he say he'd do with time? He didn't say he'd destroy time in this book. What is the Holy Spirit's purpose for time? To teach us there is no time. These are all paradoxes to us, but I want you to see their loving accommodations that respect what we made, yet offers the grace to take those stupid scissors out of the kids' hand. They don't want to give them up, but I'm going to love them anyway. Now that's real love.
yeah.
It's deep, right?
Mhm.
So I've been doing this book for a while, and I just feel good that I know it enough to be able to share it and put it in some different words to help people to grasp it and appreciate it more. And when you grasp and understand and appreciate, you're more willing to participate because you trust it, because it loves you, because it has integrity, not only in the end, but also in the means. God's plan of salvation. What a plan.
Yeah.
All right. Did I leave you speechless or what do you think? All right. Who's next? Are we back to Frank?
I just read.
You read 4, didn't you, Frank?
We're
Yes.
on 5.
Yeah. So I'm showing Joan.
Okay, paragraph 5.
Yes.
Learning is an ability you made and gave yourself. It was not made to do the will of God, but to uphold a wish that it could be opposed, and that a will apart from it was yet more real than it. And this has learning sought to demonstrate, and you have learned what it was made to teach. Now does your ancient overlearning stand implacable before the voice of truth and teach you that its lessons are not true, too hard to learn, too difficult to see, and too opposed to what is really true. Yet you will learn them, for their learning is the only purpose for your learning skill the Holy Spirit sees in all the world. His simple lessons in forgiveness have a power mightier than yours because they call from God and from yourself to you.
So does that enhance what I was kind of summarizing to hear Jesus stated out? See, learning is an illusion.
Because we already know, right?
And the only reason you think there's something to learn is because you don't know who you are anymore. So, okay, you believe in learning. Let's use that vehicle to get you home. You were using it to move away. I'll just switch the purpose. Helpful?
Yes.
What does the word implacable mean in sentence 4? Do you see it? Now does your ancient overlearning stand implacable before the word of truth?
Probably unbelievable or
Immovable.
okay.
Okay, it's your learning that's standing, right? Now does your ancient overlearning is what's standing before the voice for God and teach you that its lessons are not true. So, with all due respect, you see why I'm saying at a point you got to stop thinking about it and accept, and then it'll come forth. But it can't come forth if I'm blocking it due to my previous learning.
Hmm?
Well, if that's okay, let's do another paragraph, right? Joan, you read, we're up to Ron.
Okay,
6 is,
we're on paragraph 6, right?
yes.
Is this a little voice so small and still, I cannot rise above the senseless noise of sounds that have no meaning? God willed not through his Son forget him, and the power of his will is in the voice that speaks to him. Which lesson will you learn? What outcome is inevitable, sure as God, and far beyond all doubt and question? Can it be your little learning, strange in outcome and incredible in difficulty, will withstand the simple lessons being taught to you in every moment of each day since time began and learning had been made?
It asks a lot of questions there. Uh, who wouldn't say, I mean, are you going to let this little thing stand in the way or not? Well, you say it works in church, but it just don't work in the real world. How do you know? Have we done it in a large enough number to gain an aggregate change in how people are taught, in how we're doing things? Maybe it would work, but we have to do it. It's 330 billion souls, 350, something like that. So if it's only 1 million, it's a friggin' drop in the bucket. And the US is less than 5% of the world's population. Do you see the mess we've made and the scale of it through erroneous teachings? And the simple teaching that's erroneous is a tiny mad idea: separation. I'm saying, if I use my common sense and just think of what we could all do together in 50 years, right?
Right.
It would be a miracle. I think it's a miracle, but we've never had the effort in an organized way. There's my church and your church and this synagogue and this thing and that thing, all separation, isn't it?
Right.
You need to get them out of the way.
So how can separation solve the problem of separation?
It can't.
Yes.
Are we appealing to your common sense?
Mm-hmm.
Other comments you have on 5 or 6? Well, I think we're moving and grooving on this one. All right, there's a lot more. So why don't we continue? We're back to Sherilyn.
Okay. Paragraph 7.
Yes.
The lessons to be learned are only 2. Each has its outcome in a different world, and each world follows surely from the source. The certain outcome of the lesson that God's Son is guilty is the world you see. It is a world of terror and despair. Nor is there hope of happiness in it. There is no plan for safety you can make that ever will succeed. There is no joy that you can seek for here and hope to find. Yet this is not the only outcome which your learning can produce. However much you may have overlearned your chosen task, the lesson that reflects the love of God is stronger still, and you will learn God's Son is innocent and see another world.
What if I have no enemies? Well,
Yeah.
I would believe that, but I'm not sure my brother or sister would, right?
Right.
I might go along with it, but I don't know if them, hey, what if I go along with it and they don't? But I really like to do that. Is it a matter of trust? I'm asking.
A matter of trust.
Trust.
What
I
is
don't
the question?
trust you. I would do it, but I
Yeah.
can't be sure you'll really do it.
Well,
Why?
For whatever reason.
so if I would do it, but the other person won't, There's
So
not
I'm
much I
saying,
can do about it.
correct.
Yeah.
So it's the element of fear.
But how would you know unless you actually tried it?
Well, maybe I did try it.
Maybe you'd be pleasantly surprised. Or even if it didn't work the first time, after millennia, you might have to try it a few times. Is it worth it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
because it stops the separation.
So look at the
And-
price we pay to hold on to separation.
Mhm.
The toll has been devastating, and yet we won't let it go. We love the idea of separate heavens. But as you can see, it will never work.
Yeah, yes.
Just trying to keep it real.
Hmm.
All right, so Sherilyn, did you just read, or I'm lost?
I did. I just read
Read
paragraph
7.
7.
We're on
Mhm.
8.
All right, thank you, Gina.
The outcome of the lesson that God's Son is guiltless is a world in which there is no fear, and everything is lit with hope and sparkles with a gentle friendliness. Nothing but calls to you in soft appeal to be your friend and let it join with you. And never does a call remain unheard, misunderstood, nor left unanswered in the selfless or self-same tongue in which the call was made.
Good deal.
And you will understand it was this call that everyone and everything within the world has always made, but you had not perceived it as it was. And now you see you were mistaken. You had been deceived by forms the call was hidden in, and so you did not hear it and had lost a friend who always wanted to be part of you. The soft eternal calling of each part of God's creation to the whole is heard throughout the world this second lesson brings.
All right, comments?
Yeah,
Joe, let's do one.
I have a comment.
Absolutely, please.
Okay, number 7 on 8, number 7. And so you did not hear it and had lost a friend who always wanted to be part of you. But if this friend wanted to be part of me, then why did they leave and not and separate?
Because of selfishness, covering it up.
Wanting to be right.
I would love you, but you don't love me.
Right.
I asked you out on a date and you turned me down. So you must hate me, right? One of my favorite lines from the chorus, I fail to remember just where it is, but Jesus says, judging the motives of others can be hazardous to you.
Mhm.
How do you know that's the reason they turned you down? Because they hate you, or they think you're like dirt, or they don't like the way you look. How do you know that was the reason?
Yeah.
Your
And the world
ego.
doesn't allow us to ask them in a nice way that they would help us to understand. So we fill in the blank
Mhm.
with ego. She hates me. He hates me. What if it was a mistake? How do you know unless you try not judging? Because it's me that feels the pain when I think that way.
Right.
Just trying to flesh out what I believe he's talking about here. What do you all think? More comments here on where are we? 9? Did
Yeah.
we do 9? We didn't do 9 yet, right?
No,
Okay. So why don't we just keep going? I think we're getting it so far. Judy, you reading? Is Judy there?
she's not, she's muted.
Oh, she's muted.
I thought it was Joanne's turn for number 9.
It
Oh.
might be. It might be my turn. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll read. All
She
right.
read already. No. You're right. I can't do 2 things at once, apparently. Gina, did you do 7 or 8?
I did
did
8.
All right. So thank you. Joanne is 9. Thank you, Judy.
Okay. There is no living thing that does not share the universal will that it be whole, and that you do not leave its call unheard. Without your answer, is it left to die, as it is safe from death when you have heard its calling, as the ancient call to life, and understood that it is but your own. The Christ in you remembers God with all the certainty with which he knows his love. But only if his son is innocent can he be love. For God were fear indeed, if he whom he created innocent could be a slave to guilt. God's perfect son remembers his creation, but in guilt he has forgotten what he really is. So it sounds like, yeah, the guilt is our problem. Guilt is
Only one.
Hmm?
And
I said only one problem.
Only one. I
that
think
is the only problem.
Right here.
yeah. And that's how to control people, though. You can really control people with guilt.
Mhm.
Precisely. But when you control people with guilt, somewhere deep down, doesn't that make you feel guilty?
Yes.
Even
Well,
if
I
you
don't
get
know that
away with it?
I don't
Or
know.
maybe you don't recognize it's guilt, but there's this kind of drag, this
Yes.
anxiety, and nobody else knows but in me when I go to bed at night, whether I tell anybody else or not. Don't you think there's something deep down that says, I don't like the way this feels?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, but then why are the churches still teaching it after so many years? It's still taught.
Okay.
By egos.
All right. I'm with you there. And again, with all due respect, folks, and all due respect to discussion, let's say I don't know why and start getting our information somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, that was the most wonderful feeling when I started to study the course, to realize that I wasn't guilty.
I know, I never heard that before.
Oh, never.
My church
Oh.
said I was a filthy, miserable sinner
Yes.
saved by the grace of God.
Oh, yeah. And not only the church, school, parents,
Mhm.
friends,
Yes.
even.
See, why would God save a filthy, miserable sinner out of pity? You might say yes. No.
No.
God loves us not out of pity, but out of truth. So no matter who we think we are, our Father remembers what we are and what we are to him.
Thank heavens.
And
Mhm.
never forgets that. It's impossible, remember?
Yeah.
We think the impossible happened, and God knows it never did.
Mm.
So we're making these problems for ourselves.
Yeah.
So the fear of God, chapter 9, the opening to that, is one of the strangest beliefs anyone has ever had. The fear of God. Now, if God is love and you fear God, I thought love is what you were looking for. How can you love truly? You may act behaviorally, but deep in your heart, how can you love what you fear?
You can't.
This is what we've been asked to buy.
Right.
And I don't know all the motives in that, and I don't think it's productive. I'm going to assemble all of it in the realm of what I would call it was a mistake, whether intentional or unintentional, or a combination.
Mm.
Who cares? The only thing that matters is what we do going forward.
Right. Right.
That can have any consequence, you see? What we do now in the present. Lesson 7 said, I live only in the past.
Except
I didn't know that. Hilda?
I just want to say, in the ego world, you have a need, people have a need to be special and to be maybe more important, more powerful than somebody else. And so you're being taught that you're a subject because you were guilty of this or that or the other thing. And somebody else decides that they are superior to you, so they have a power over you. And they can control you by telling you how guilty you are and how you need to be punished. And I'm here to do that, to let you, give you the freedom. If only you confess and you pay me all the little almonds that you need to do,
Yes.
Right.
I'll promise you freedom from a non-existent problem.
Right.
Do you see the deceit, the sham that the ego thought system offers?
Yeah.
And if we could just share this with brothers and sisters, I never knew there was another way of looking at things before. How many people you know think there is have even heard of that stuff like we're learning?
Nobody that I know.
Most of them.
But if you would entertain this different way, you'd start to see it's simpler than the old way. But you won't see that unless you learn enough about it, right?
Right.
So the old learning system stands implacable against us being open-minded. My old church used to say, if it ain't in the Bible, I don't want to hear it. Okay. So thank God I was led from that. It was a stepping stone.
Yeah.
Sometimes in order to find what you want, you have to experience what you don't want.
Yeah. Well, I was told every Sunday that I was not worthy.
Right. And here's a book saying just the opposite. It's just who you're going to believe, except that this one starts to make more sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, you feel better.
All right. Listen, I think we can finish section 1.
Okay.
Is this the right pace going through this? I'll ask again.
Yeah.
Seems to be.
make sure we're all happy campers since,
Yeah, it sounds, it feels good.
all right, since we're inextricably in this together, right? Since we're one. So, oh God, who's next?
I am.
Thank you, please.
We are on number 10.
Great.
The fear of God results as surely from the lesson that his son is guilty, as God's love must be remembered when he learns his innocence. For hate must father fear, and look upon its father as itself. How wrong are you who fail to hear the call that echoes past each seeming call to death, that sings behind each murderous attack and pleads that love restored the dying world. You do not understand who calls to you beyond each form of hate, each call to war. Yet you will recognize him as you give him answer in the language that he calls. He will appear when you have answered him, and you will know in him that God is love.
Thank you. Let's do another paragraph again. We'll have two to talk about. Frank, right?
Right. What is temptation but a wish to make the wrong decision, not what you would learn, and have an outcome that you don't want? It is the recognition that it is a state of mind unwanted that becomes the means whereby the choice of reassesses outcome seem to be preferred. You are deceived if you believe you cannot. You want disaster and distantly and pain. Hear not the call of this within yourself, but listen rather to the deeper call beyond it that appeals for peace and joy. And all the world will give you joy and peace. For as you hear, you answer, and behold, your answer is a proof of what you learned. The outcome is the world you look upon.
Comments on these two? Paragraph 10, where again, the fear of God, right? Or paragraph 11. Okay, so we're up to Joan for the last paragraph for 12, and then someone else will do 13, please.
Okay, paragraph 12. Let us be still an instant and forget all things we ever learned, all thoughts we had, and every preconception that we hold of what things mean and what their purpose is. Let us remember not our own ideas of what the world is for we do not know. Let every image held of everyone be loosed from our minds and swept away.
And Ron, why don't you finish us up with this section?
Be innocent of judgment, unaware of any thoughts of evil or of good that ever crossed your mind of anyone. Now do you know him not, but you are free to learn of him and learn of him anew. Now is he born again to you, and you are born again to him, without the past that sentenced him to die, and you with him. Now is he free to live as you are free, because an ancient learning passed away and left a place for growth to be reborn.
Man, there's a lot there.
Yeah.
Somebody else talk for a few minutes, whatever's on your mind or heart at this point. Do you already know all these things?
No.
Which
Well,
ones Yeah, comment.
I think we're aware, but we're not ready to absorb all of it.
How much is there to absorb?
Well,
That's another way of saying, forgive me, sister. Let me think about it. How simple is salvation? Be nice all
the time.
the time in every situation. It doesn't mean you need to let folks walk all over you.
No,
There are loving ways to deal with that as opposed to the ways we've learned. What
I
are
have to
these
say,
ways? Your teacher knows. That's why you have to turn, because he said, forget how many things you've ever learned.
All of them.
Everything.
All of them.
Paragraph 12, right? All of it. Man, that's asking a lot. That's another word to me for surrender. It's
all
another,
I can
go ahead.
all I can say for me in the time that I've been with you and all of you and really thinking about this, it's just become so meaningful to me.
Great.
And it's working in my life. It's with the relationships I have here.
Right? So that's how you know you're doing
Yeah,
it, because you're seeing the results.
right.
Thank you, Sherilyn.
You're welcome.
Other folks, how simple is salvation? Who in their right mind wouldn't choose the principles of salvation here? Who would be against it? It starts with an E.
Ego.
Ego.
Ego. Yeah.
Fortunately, I'm not an ego, so I have a choice. Now, don't get me wrong. God, there are no winners and losers here. I'm not saying get rid of your ego. I'm saying let your divine self manage it.
Yeah.
It serves us well in level 2 to navigate level 2. But thank goodness I'm not this little, small, selfish, mean, vindictive self.
Right.
Even its pleasures end up being painful, don't they?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
So that's kind of where we are tonight. I hope we did justice to this first section. And to our review lesson, I am the Holy Son of friggin' God Himself. Since you want to be so special, can you think of higher special than that?
No.
No. That's it.
So why do we act like victims? Because we've misidentified what we are, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Good answer. Yeah. That's it.
So it's getting near wrap up time. I hope you feel somewhat fulfilled and hopefully not confused. I would say if you're still feeling confused, let that go and just try it. Where do you start? I don't know, but your higher self, your Holy Spirit, will lead each moment of your life. The Bible says He will remove the stones that block your path. and make your crooked road straight, and show you where the doors are so you don't have to keep banging your head in the dark trying to get out to get through. You can get through, but why do it the hard way? All right, I'm ready to close. How about you guys?
Yeah, I am too. I gotta get back to the world and see what's happening with the politics.
Absolutely. All right.
Yeah.
Watch it, but don't
Yeah.
believe it. It's called lucid dreaming.
Yes.
Watch politics so you can be of service in the work you have to do here. But you can't help others get through misery and pain if you're in misery and pain yourself.
Right.
Right.
So true.
I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do because he who sent me will guide me, direct me. I am content to be wherever he wishes, for I know he goes there with me.
That beautiful? That's beautiful.
I will be healed as I let him teach me to stop being selfish and devote some things to the common good,
Mm-hmm.
not just what's right for me, but a rising tide raises all ships. So if I focus on what's good for everybody, doesn't that include me?
Yeah.
It's a different way of looking at things. Enjoy the political season. I find it a lot more interesting and hopeful from my perspective with recent things that have changed. And with that said, I'm ready to turn it over to Hilda to close.
Okay.
Thank you.
What are we doing next week?
Well, next week, thank you for asking, dear. Bear with me just for a moment. That's a good way to close out of here. You'll notice chapter 31 has 8 sections. The last one is called Choose Once Again. And then we get into, we're done with the text. So after that, for next week, we're going to go to page 1 of the Manual for Teachers, Introduction, on page 1 of the Manual for Teachers. Is that helpful, Joanne?
Yeah, manual for teachers. Okay. Lesson 1.
No, I didn't say lesson 1 yet. There are no lessons in the Manual for Teachers.
Okay, well, I'm not there yet. Okay.
The first one is called Who Are God's Teachers, on page 3.
Okay, I got it.
All right.
We're going to do that next week.
So next week, we'll work on the introduction and section 1. All right. If
Okay.
you look at those, you'll see it's like a total of about 3 pages.
All right.
And you'll all be pleasantly surprised to see that all the things in the Manual for Teachers are relatively extremely short. The whole thing's only 92 pages, I believe, and that includes the supplement, clarification of terms.
Okay.
Right? So
Okay.
hopefully that's bringing it back to not only Joanne, but the rest of us here of how much fun we've got coming up still, right? Plus, it won't be nearly the amount of reading that we accomplished in the first part of our time together.
Well, there's a
All right.
lot of introspection.
Pardon me?
I don't know if I'm saying that word right. There's a lot of introspection in doing the manual for teachers. You gotta look inward more so than, well, the whole book
Does
is.
that sound hard?
I've read some of the manual for teachers, and a few years ago I couldn't get through it. So
Yeah, but that was a few years ago, and didn't have the mighty companions here to help.
right. I'm sure it will be much easier and more enjoyable.
Yay! I know we can't wait, can we, guys?
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't think it's going to be as fearful as it was a couple of years ago, because I
I
thought
don't think so either. Okay,
I
relax.
gotta-
It's
gotta
all
be-
good. Hilda, you ready to close?
Yes, I
I'm
am.
ready. I'm ready.
Thank you.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. I am the light of God.
I am.
I am the light of God.
Give him the light of God.
I am the love of God.
I
I am
the love
the
of
love
God.
of God.
I am the power of God.
I am the power of God.
I am the presence of God.
I am the presence of God.
Therefore,
Therefore,
wherever I am,
wherever I am,
God is.
God is.
God is
And all
And all
is well.
well.
is well.
Well,
Prayer. Just
There is nothing to fear.
There's
There is nothing to fear.
There is only love.
There is only love.
Only love.
Namaste.
namaste.
There's only
Namaste.
love. Drop the mic. See you next time, okay?
See you
thank
next
you,
week.
Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Have a blessed
Bye.
week, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Stay
Bye-bye.
well.
Right.